Okay, so hey John.
Hey Kelly, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, great. Yes. Oh, I was saying it's a bit cold, but not really. 7 degrees here. So
Right. Okay, so John and I were just talking slightly ahead of this recording, and John is in, where did you say it was again? Brisbane?
in Brisbane, Australia.
Brisbane,
Yeah.
Australia. And Practice Protect is actually an app out of Australia. Lots of innovation going on down in Australia and New Zealand in the accounting space, that's for sure. And even our friends at Carbon, who are basically they're domiciled in the US, they're Aussies as well.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
guys are some of the cool kids. And so John thinks it's cold at 7 degrees. For Americans, that's about, what do you think that is in Fahrenheit?
I wouldn't know. I'd have to look it up. I'd have to do a converter.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll go with like
Yeah.
45 degrees or something. It's not really that cold, except that we're going to put a date stamp on this. Today is June the 8th, 2022.
Yeah.
And so Australia's in the heat of winter. And John and I were just talking about the fact that it's dark days there now, short days, versus us, some of us who are in North America, who are in our coming up to our longest day of the year.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. So John is with Practice Protect. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, which we're going to learn all about today. And my name is Kelly Parks, and I vet apps in the accounting space, whether they are accounting apps directly, whether they're workflow practice management solutions, whether they are magical apps for security, which is what Practice Protect is all about. And I vet those apps and then do a demo so that we can share great apps in our accounting community. I guess I should have like a set thing. You know how some of the vloggers have like music that comes on. I guess I maybe need to think about that.
Yeah.
And like a script for the words, right? But I'm not very scripted, and I want to
No,
make sure
I'm the same.
I just want to make sure I get the word out on some of these apps. And so I've been watching you guys. We've been chatting a little, and I really want accounting firms to know about Practice Protect.
Hmm.
So do you want to, and actually, I think what we're going to do now is I have a form that any apps that I am going to take a look at and maybe do a demo with, they fill out a form. And John, would you say that that was a fairly thorough form?
Yeah. Lots of good questions, asking all the right questions. It was good.
Right. So I'm going to run through a few of the things to give everybody the warm and fuzzy that you guys are by no stretch fly by night, or that I have not investigated the legitimacy and value of what you guys do. But I like to start off with this first question. So I always ask the person who's filling out the form what their favorite, aside from the company they work for, the app partner, what their favorite app is. Do you remember what your favorite app was? Because you filled this out a while ago.
Yeah. HubSpot, I believe I put that down.
Yeah, it was HubSpot. That's right. And a lot of people really like HubSpot.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your two favorite things about HubSpot?
Firstly, it's having everything integrated. So for us, it's, everything is done from it. Like, it's integrated with our Zoom, it's integrated with our calls, emails, marketing. So, for me, working with a team, and we've got a global team. So, I'm in Australia, we've got team members, Jamie's currently based in the US. So it just means that with everyone working separately, in different states and different countries, we've got that one system to look at and work from, which just makes it so much easier to collaborate then.
Right. Fun.
Yeah.
To qualify, so John is in Australia, and Jamie, that he just mentioned, is the founder of the company, yes?
Yes.
And
yeah, correct. Yeah.
He relocated to the United States recently. So had the great pleasure of meeting him at a couple of conferences now. But your app is global.
Yes. Yeah. So we are. Yeah. So we've got our largest, our largest client bases are in Australia and the US and Canada. But we're seeing that obviously we were based in Australia first. So we started in Australia back in 2016. We launched in the US and Canada last year in 2021, but we're now seeing that it's starting to change, and we're getting a lot more growth and a lot more clients on in US and Canada. And I expect that, within a couple of years or even next year, it's going to change so that, US and Canada is going to be our largest markets.
Right. And I already know some people that are using it, a couple of them here in Canada, and then a few in the States that are using Practice Protect and swear by it. So
great.
I thought that was pretty cool. You guys came onto my radar. When did we start chatting? Maybe a year and a half ago, John?
Yes. Yeah, I think it was actually back in, it was late 2020 or early 2021. I think that's when we first had our first calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but since then is when I have seen some of my friends come onto the platform, independent of me shouting from the rooftops about you guys. They found you, and they love you. What is the most compelling problem your application solves?
Yeah, I guess in short, it's cybersecurity. That's what we do. That's what gets us out of bed in the morning. That's how we help accounting firms. And then it's difficult for me to say just one point, because with cybersecurity and with our platform, we try to address different areas. So one of the main ones is around the tech. So it's around passwords and access management, because when firms are moving online into the cloud, really the number one risk isn't where your data is stored, it's how you access it. Okay. Right. So the weak link in the chain is always passwords and accessing it. So our platform helps firms to manage that risk. But then on top of that, when it comes to security, it's not just tech which you need to put in place. There's also training and compliance, and our platform helps with that. So we've got cybersecurity training, and we've got compliance documents as well for our audiences.
Okay, cool. So you covered off a few things there. Oh, okay, yeah. And I know you have slides on this.
Yeah.
And we can get to that if somebody wants the formal part of it. But what are the 3 most important features of your app? Of Practice Protect.
Yes. So really the 3 most important features are, firstly, what I highlighted there, so around access management. So being able to give your team members access to applications without handing over the passwords. So we call that password cloaking. So the idea is that, say, if you've got client applications, client banking, client logins, you need a team member to log into that. You're able to give them access to that without handing over the password. And they can't view, copy, or paste that. It is encrypted when they're using it. So
and I want to stop you there. When you first told me that, I'm like, that's magic.
Yeah.
Because if you're using some of the password applications, which is fine for somebody like me with 1 or 2 people, and it probably not even for 2 people, but once you hit a certain stride, giving out passwords is dodgy business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I thought that was super magic that you are cloaking the passwords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And as well, what builds on that with the security, and I'll show this in a second, but is then the activity log and the tracking around that. Because we've actually seen there have been incidents where there was suspicious activity on certain accounts, and we were able to use the activity tracking to determine where that originated from. So yeah, really, really important, because without that, it's a shared login. So, if you're not using a system like Practice Protect to track, then you've got no idea where that's coming from.
Right. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. And sorry, you asked me for 3, I think. So I only give you 1 so far. So I'll give you another 2 quicker. So the second one, and I'm a bit biased towards this because it's a part which I was heavily involved in, and it's the cybersecurity training part. So we've got, I like to call it the Netflix of cybersecurity. I don't know if anyone else does, but we've got a library of training videos which is available to our firms to make sure that your team know what to do, what not to do, because you can put all the best tech in the world in place, but if your team click on every phishing email that comes into their inbox, something bad's going to happen pretty quick. So we provide full training, and that's a big part of what we do. And then
actually, I'm going to jump in here too.
Yeah.
Because I although I'm acting like I'm coming into this demo cold, I do know quite a bit about your project, about Practice Protect. You had told me about this training, and I love that because it creates a mindset within the firm with the team members. And I kind of liken it to, you can't run a cloud-based accounting practice if you are still running a desktop-based business.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have cybersecurity on, let's say, QuickBooks Online without having an entire mindset about security in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you are working on the mindset of the whole thing, and not just like, here's your hat, fill your boots kind of thing. You guys are actually creating an entire ecosystem for the firms.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I was talking with a firm yesterday, and they were asking, like, they didn't have any security in place. They weren't sure where to start. So they were asking me, for steps I'd recommend. And, firstly, I said, just sit back and assess. So, do an audit, see what your risks are. And then the second step, before making any changes, put any systems in place, second step is engaging with team. So chat with your team, understand what they're doing, and do some training with them first. So that, yeah, you said you're creating that mindset. So then when you are putting security in place, you are changing some processes, people understand the why, and that's so important. And, we see that can be overlooked. And then that's when, rolling out, changing processes can be difficult, because people are like, well, why are you making my life more difficult? Not that it should, but, that, can be sometimes perceived that way with putting security in place. And yeah, that's why it's so important to educate the team around why these changes are happening.
Yeah, you know what? The why is so important. It's like you bringing the hammer down on this is how we do it here, and you don't engage anybody in the clear reasons for it. Okay, what's your third? What's your third most compelling?
Yeah, and the third one would be around the documentation, the compliance documents. So, like a large part of what we do, so especially in the United States, there's a lot of regulations around cybersecurity. So there's the IRS 4557 legislation, which outlines steps for tax practitioners to stay safe on to secure taxpayer data, and part of that says that you have to have a data security plan, compliance document in place. So we've gone out and we've built that for our clients. So we've engaged with a law firm to write guidelines, to write documentation in line with that legislation. And that's, a huge, really, really popular point for our client base.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Okay, great. Who's your ideal client?
Yeah, so I mean, we work with firms of all different shapes and sizes. We do work with some smaller firms, so some sole practitioners, up to firms where 150, 200 people. I'd say if you're asking us for like our ideal perfect client, it would be a firm with some team members. So the average size that we work with is in that 5 to 15 bracket of firm there. Yeah, and obviously we're a cloud-based application, so using cloud applications, or I think sometimes we talk about the cloud a bit too much, and it can confuse firms. But it's websites, logins. If you're logging into anything online, because even if you're using QuickBooks Desktop, which is your main app, that's not cloud. But then if you've got 20, 50 different client logins or client banking that you log into online, then that's something which we can help with.
Yep, and a lot of us maybe are logging into some of those vendors for our clients, because some vendors don't actually ship out invoices. You got to go get them, right?
Yeah.
And there isn't a Zap for that, and Dex can't fetch them. All these random companies. So yeah, there's lots of use case scenarios for your client logins as well. So back to that magic of the cloaking as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we can change within our firms, but sometimes trying to change what our clients are doing is really hard.
Yeah, and you can change most of them, but there's always that one.
Yeah.
Whenever I speak with firms, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we've moved everyone to this system, but we've still got the old one for that one client."
Right. Okay, great. Yeah. And so we've already talked about how long you've been around. So one of the questions I always love is, what do you do better than your competitors? No, what do you do better than your competitors?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So I guess So with our competitors, so a large part of what we do is around password and access management. So what we do better than say some of the other non-accounting specific vendors is around security. So with the security policies and restrictions that we set up, it is to a far greater level. So for instance, our a lot of the retail ones are have an encryption rate of 248 bits. Our encryption rate is 2048 bits. So data encrypted to a far, far higher level. That's just one example. So yeah, a lot more security. And as well, the other difference is, and I can't really understate this, is being industry specific. So with us working only with accountants and bookkeepers, we understand your apps, we understand your pain points, we understand how you guys use the platform. And as well, with the kind of industry specific aspect, we've also got support. So, our support team makes sure that it's a security tool. It needs to be set up correctly. So we go through that and we actually help set it up for firms and hold hands, along the way to make sure it's set up to best practice.
Yeah. And I've heard the hand holding experience is fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's digital hand holding.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Digital hand holding. We're not going to come out. Don't worry. It's COVID safe.
Okay. And you actually have something called, so when we were talking about the training and stuff, it's called Practice Protect University, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
correct. Kind of a fun name. Yeah.
Yeah. PPU.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You are do you have integrations?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So
and what would those integrations be for? I mean, it's a standard question that I ask, but what Practice Protect be using for integrations?
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways in which we can integrate with applications. So when it comes to access, you've got single sign-on technology. So what that means is that you can integrate the login between Practice Protect and other applications. So, when I'm explaining this to people, really the way in which people most use single sign-on is, say, with their personal Google account. So say if you go to set up a Spotify account and you can log in with Google or log in with Facebook, that's essentially single sign-on, because rather than creating a new Spotify account, you're just logging in with your Google credentials. So with Practice Protect, we've got single sign-on, which is similar to that. It's basically business single sign-on. So what we do is we can integrate with applications. So say if you're logging into Office 365, Gmail, Zoom, Dropbox, Box, Slack, you're not logging in with a separate identity. You just log in with your Practice Protect username and password. So wherever possible, because that is the most secure way of integrating, wherever possible with firms, we set that up so we fully integrate using a single sign-on.
Okay, so talk to me like I'm I don't know, a 60-year-old who doesn't understand, as opposed to a 5-year-old who probably does understand single sign-on, or a 10-year-old certainly would. Where does the security in single sign-on come from? Is this? I'd love an answer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the security means that there's less identities to manage. Okay. And there's, you've just got one master secure identity. Okay. So the idea is that with like your Practice Protect account, your login to Practice Protect is locked down behind our two-factor authentication. Also with our clients, we set up other restrictions like location restrictions. We can set up time-based lockouts. So that introduces other steps there, as opposed to if it's not integrated like that, and if you've got a different login for everything, clients wouldn't always set up two-factor authentication on them. It doesn't have the other location restrictions. And as well, we know that as people, the more passwords people have to manage, the less of a good job they do with it. Setting the same password for everything. So by setting up that integration, really does reduce the risk.
So let me parse it back like I'm a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
Because I am. So the single sign-on means, in essence, you are much more likely to secure that one single sign-on properly, as opposed to all these sign-ons that you just get tired of securing them correctly. Would that be a short version?
Yeah, correct. And from like a systems place as well, it's far easier to manage. So one of the things that we can do, we can't do this with every application. It depends on the integration, but it
Sure.
can set up like auto provisioning. Okay, so what it means is that, so say if you set up an account in Practice Protect, it would then automatically create an account in Office 365, automatically create an account in Zoom. That's a part of what we can do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Single sign-on, awesome. You can use it obviously on all your devices. So back to the, well, not obviously, I guess, but yeah, you can use it on all your devices. Now, are you using that by an optimized web app, or is it actually mobile apps as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'll show it to you. I don't know if it will show on my screen very well. So I've got the Practice Protect app on my phone. So
Yes.
this is my one, which I'm logged on to. So say if I was to click on, HubSpot there, like I said, my favorite app, what it's going to do is it's going to launch it in a browser session on my phone there. So in an optimized mobile browser and a secure browser.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Now,
when you close that app out, does it log you out?
Yeah, so you can set that up. So it will close, like it will log you out. So you have to log in with biometrics or with a PIN. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you do have, so to log into Practice Protect, you have two-factor authorization behind the password as well, right?
Yeah, correct.
And what are you using for the two-factor authorization?
Yeah, so I mean, it varies from, firm to firm. So, you can set up text to firm, you can set up Google Authenticator, which is what I'll be using on my account. I'll log into in a second. You can use our app. So the Practice Protect app has its own authenticator, whichever works. We integrate with pretty much everything.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. And you actually have a number of support channels.
Yeah. Yeah, because support, it is so important. And we do place a large emphasis on support, because with what we do, a lot of the fixes are quite simple, but we know that they're time sensitive. So for instance, if you can't log into something, it's a quick, easy fix for our support team, but it's annoying. And you want it resolved straight away. So we do place a really, really high emphasis on support. So for all of our clients, if there's an issue, they can call us, email us, log a ticket online.
Can we dial that back a minute? They can phone you and talk to a human?
Yeah, correct. Cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So they can phone us, chat to someone. And as well, like one of our main metrics for our support team is called Fixed on First Call. And that means the amount of issues that we resolve literally on the first call, or if it was an email, it was solved in the first hour. And we solved just under 40% of tickets on that first call. So it's something that we really, really push, because, we know how busy accountants are. We know how annoying it is, if, something isn't working. So, we try to, be as quick as we can with our responses.
Okay, cool. And we're not going to get into the weeds of this, but I see, one of the questions that I ask is, how are you engaging with your customers for feedback? And you said you are using Net Promoter Scores. So NPS is kind of a fun thing to be doing.
Yeah, we run NPS regularly. So after, I mentioned the support, after every single ticket, we ask for feedback, so you can let us know how your support experience was. And as well, we regularly do NPS with our clients. I think we're actually sending out a survey today or maybe tomorrow. But yeah, to get that feedback, because it's so important for us, so that we know, we know where we're doing well, areas we need to improve in, some changes that, clients might want. It's really important to us that we grow through that feedback.
That's great. So you're listening.
Yeah.
And so for anybody who is listening and doesn't know what Net Promoter Score is, Google it. And so it's something that I emphasize when I'm working with accounting firms or talking with people or whatever, is I do, when I bring on a new client at the 3-6 month mark, I do a survey. How are we doing? What's happening here? And then with every client on fiscal re-engagement, I do a survey to see where we're at in our relationship. Do they want more services? Do they want less services? NPS. And so because my favorite app is Typeform,
Mhm.
It's just so much fun and so engaging. What is it that you're using to, I saw the Cognito form on your, I saw the logo on your phone there for a second. What are you guys using?
Yeah, so we actually use a couple of different apps. So we use one for our support team. We use one called Customer Thermometer, as that's integrated actually in with our support system. So that's the one which gets sent out after every support ticket. But for the surveys which we're doing when we do just the ad hoc ones, so once every 6 months or year, we actually use Typeform as well. So that's
Isn't
the
it
one.
fun?
Yeah, it's fun and it's really easy to set up. And it looks good as well. You can have all of your branding on it. Like yeah.
I think I have yet to have somebody who doesn't kind of like filling it out.
Mm.
It's super engaging for the end user, but that's not what we're here to talk about today, is
it? No,
no,
but
it's
we
not,
could.
Kelly. I could talk about Typeform all day, but so what we really need to do is get on with the part where I think you probably, and maybe we're going to cover some stuff again, but that's fine because your Practice Protect is going to be new to some people watching this. So go ahead and do your thing. If somebody was doing a call with you to find out about Practice Protect, what would that look like?
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, great. Well, thanks for that. And I guess we've covered off a few points earlier, but really want to emphasize what we do and why we're here. So it's cybersecurity. Okay, so we're supporting over 16,000 accountants, and why we launched is because cybercrime is increasing and it is becoming more and more complex for firms to manage. So that's why we launched Practice Protect, so that there's that one easy platform for busy accounting firms to implement to secure their data. Okay, and then really with the platform, and I've touched on this already, but we have it split up into 3 different hubs, and I'll be taking you guys through, or taking you, Kelly, through these hubs in a second as we go through here. So the first one is the Access Hub, and that's really the technology part of it. So that's the access management. So I'll log in there, kind of show you how you can manage your access, how you can manage your team members' access easily. Next up is the Compliance Hub. So this part is the compliance documentation, which I highlighted earlier as being a really important feature. So I'll show you a couple of examples of the documents that we supply as standard to our firms. And then lastly, it's the Advisory Hub. Okay, and the Advisory Hub is really, I guess, split up into 2 different sections. So one of them is around our, the support and advice that we supply clients. So, as we touched on, we've got our support team where you can call, you can chat to a real life person. We've got that kind of service available. And we've also got our client success team who are regularly reaching out to clients, taking NPS and, getting your feedback, understanding, changes or advice. So that's the first part of it, the human powered support. And the second part is the training. So we touched earlier on Practice Protect University. So making sure that you and your team are trained on what to do and what not to do. Yeah.
What was the word you used? Human
powered support.
Human powered. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I might swipe that.
Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. I've got a couple of sound bites. We'll see if you catch my others.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Well, look, I'll jump into this now. So I'll jump into the demonstration. So here's the Practice Protect login screen. So, and the idea with this is it is made unique to your firm. Okay, so you can see here, this is my firm, Contoso CPA. It's got my logo here. So this is all done to your own branding. And then the idea is, come in and log in. And you can see here, I just need to put in my 2-factor authentication. So just on this one I'm using at the moment is I've got the Google Authenticator on my phone. And of course
it did. Live demos are a blast, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was doing a workshop on using Chrome properly, and we couldn't hook up to the computer at the conference. Any computer. I was doing it by at whatever that's called. Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, but that's one of the first features you saw there because I got the password wrong, so it didn't let me in. So that's that's a security feature there. But anyway, now that I've logged on, you can see this is where all of my applications are stored. Okay, and the idea is that with this view, it is made unique to the team member. Okay, so the applications that you have, that your team would have in, would be different. The idea is the team only have access to what they need. And then the idea with Practice Protect, it's just as easy as one click. So I'll just use 0 as the example here. Practice Protect has stored my username and password, and then it takes me through and it's logged me in automatically. Okay, so the idea obviously is that you, the team, you're not able to view, copy those passwords. You could see there when it logged me in, I couldn't view the password. Practice Protect just logs me in without any of my knowledge.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And a large part of what we do as well is in the onboarding piece, Kelly. So what we do is whenever we bring a new client on board, because obviously there's a huge list of applications, passwords to go through. So with our onboarding, we get that list and we'll add all of them into the portal. And where possible, we actually do password resets. So what that means is because the team would have already set some passwords, they're already aware of them. So where
Sure,
possible,
their dog's name with uppercase
exactly.
and then 1, 2, 3, 4 question mark.
Yeah. So we get rid of the fluffy 1, 2, 3 passwords, and we set them to be long, secure, 16-character randomly generated ones. Okay, so that's what we do for the team members' apps. And then
so can we repeat that? You will do as much of that front end pain in the butt legwork to get these set up properly.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so that's our onboarding service as well. A large part of what we do, because we know that working with firms, it's not just your apps, it's also client applications. So we'd import them as well. So we've actually got a import tool. So for because so you could do like a data export if you're using like a Google Chrome or another password manager. You can export the data from that, and then we can import that and just fire it into the tool there.
Cool. I'm loving seeing Rewind right there and Relay.
Yeah. Those guys are great. We actually did a couple of webinars with them both last year.
Yeah, well, and they're both Canadian companies.
Yeah, and they're great because we love working with those guys because they're as well working in the same space, but really helping firms in a different way. So cybersecurity with backups and secure access to client banking. So
awesome, fun.
Yeah, awesome, great. Well, look, that's the kind of the company applications, so your individual ones. But as well as we touched on,
I have a question that maybe somebody there's probably other people as odd as I am. Can you move those around to put them in the order that you want, or do they go automatically in alphabetical order? What happens?
Yes, so they do go automatically in alphabetical order. So, but
what we do,
but what you can do is, so some firms, because you can see here we've numbered it. So with our categories here, we've set up numbers, so 1, 2, 3. So that's what I see some firms do. If they want to order it, you'd put 1.Axelo, 2.Rewind if you wanted that to be second.
Okay, great.
Also, it does show at the top here your frequently used applications, so you can easily just jump around to them.
Oh, okay. That works great too. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And you've got the search feature as well. So say if I want to go to, American Express, but Omega, I can search for that there and it will bring it up.
Okay, cool.
Cool, awesome. But that really brings me on to my next point, because with the applications in here, like I said, it's not just cloud applications, it's not just your logins, there's also the client logins to be aware of as well. So in Practice Protect, you can have your client logins in here. So you can see here, I've got them grouped by the different client. So, say if I need to log into Blitz's Capital One, I can do that. And then, as I touched on earlier, everything in Practice Protect is tracked and audited. Okay, so through our activity log, you can see, if who's logged into that. So say if there was ever any suspicious activity on a client login or on a shared login, you could put up a report to see that.
Cool. Actually, the one that was always a pain for me, I had a client on Skip the Dishes. So just it's all those little ones that you just need to get in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them. So we launched this report last year, and I'm just getting the data ready for the report this year, but it looks at the most, like all of the apps in Practice Protect. And we've got over 650 different applications or logins in Practice Protect, which firms are using. And then, there's some which, 90% of firms use, like QBO, QuickBooks Online.
Right. I've heard
That's,
of that.
yeah, I think most people have done. But then, yeah, you'll find that there's, a real long tail. There's, like 400 applications where there's just one or two firms using them.
Right.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Very
Yeah.
much.
Awesome. As well, another cool feature we've got, and this was recently launched in the last few months, is secured items. Okay, so what you're able to do is add secured notes to Practice Protect. So say if I wanted to put in a credit card details or have a note there, I could store that in Practice Protect, and you're able to share that with the team as well. And you can give them access to view or edit. So a really easy way to share sensitive information in a secure way. As well, we touched on QuickBooks Desktop. So some firms, not well, actually, most of the firms we're working with aren't 100% online. There usually is some kind of desktop application. So QuickBooks Desktop, or we've got Lacert here. So the idea with Practice Protect is you can add your desktop passwords as well, and you can just use this as like a password vault. So you can see here, here's my details for Lacert. So I could come in, copy that, and then log into it. So you can still set secure ones, and you don't have to be writing them down for those ones either.
So when you are working in it, let's go back to some of the applications, and then you log into QuickBooks Online.
Mm-hmm.
You're now in a Chrome browser using it. And so whatever bookmarks you've set up and folder systems, you can then go ahead and use from there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
I guess it's an obvious question, but you never know.
Yes.
So you're not, this is the front end. You're not now got to try and work within Practice Protect. This is how you get into it.
Yeah,
and
correct.
how you monitor the use in it.
Correct. Yeah. So once I log into Xero, and that's a really good question. Once you log in, it's working in the same way. You're not working in our portal. You're working in the app. So there's no real change to your processes.
Okay. Now, when you're on a device, you're working within the app though, right?
It depends. It depends on the application, and we set this up. And during the onboarding, that's why we customize the onboarding, make it specific to each firm. So if there's a single sign-on integration, then we'd integrate with Practice Protect, and you'd work in the app, but logging in with your Practice Protect username and password. So for instance, like I've got Outlook, the Outlook app on my phone, and I use Outlook on my desktop. You can see, I've got Outlook down there.
Wow, I didn't see you as a Microsoft guy.
Yeah, I am.
I didn't see that coming.
No, I'm not one of the cool kids on Google. No, I'm quite old school like that. But yeah, so the idea is, with Outlook, I'd log in. I just log in with my Practice Protect username and password, and then it works exactly the same with the app on my phone. The same with Gmail as well. So say if you're using Google, you just log into the app with your Practice Protect details, and then you're good to go.
So let me square that away in my mind. Again, just to be clear, I'm on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I want to go into my Gmail. Do I go in through Gmail, or do I go in through Practice Protect that then it takes me over to Gmail?
You go in through Gmail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So you go in through Gmail, and then it would look like this. So basically you go to your G Suite, and when you go to log in, just Practice Protect pops up. So it pops up in your Gmail asking you to put in your Practice Protect username and password. You do that, and then you're logged into Gmail.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So that's it. And that's the single sign-on integration. That's that feature.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome, great. Well, look, this is the front end of Practice Protect, which is what which is what our clients are using 99% of the time. This is where you'd be. But what I'll do, Kelly, is I'll move across to the admin portal. as in here, this is where you can set up team members and set up some of the different security settings as well. Okay, so now I've moved over
And
to
I recall getting blown away by some of this when I first saw it. I know
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be acting like I've never seen it. I don't 100% recall it because it was probably a year and a half ago, but I remember being blown away.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, I hope it has the same effect today. We'll see. I'll go for
I'm
gasps.
a security nut, so it really did. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So here's the first thing you see here is the dashboard. So this gives you an overview of your firm's usage of Practice Protect. So you can see how many team members there are, how many are active, how many devices are linked, so how many phones have the app installed. And as well here, it will show you your most launched applications too. And you can see where the team are logging on from. And then next up, we've got the security overview. So this would show if there's been any failed login attempts. Okay, so you can see here if there's been any suspicious activity. So you can see on my account, there has been a few failed login attempts. But again, I'm not too worried about these, because I'll look at the location and the stamp. So I can see, with the timestamps, they're all during office hours. And that's, I can see me in Brisbane, and then we've got some support team members in South Africa and the Philippines. But say if it was a suspicious login, you could come in here and you're able to lock out the account with one click. And this is something which we help our clients to keep an eye on.
Right.
Yeah. So that's.
I'm still being blown away.
Yeah, that's great. And then next up, we've got here like the user list. So this is where you'd set up all of your team members. Okay, so I'll click on David here. So this is the account which I'm logged on. And you can see if I go to activity, you can see all of my activity history here. So it shows me logging on there, and then you can see I launched 0. And you can see all of this is time-stamped. It's got the user, and it's also location stamped as well. So you know who's logging into your applications at what time and from where as well. And this is really important, with especially those shared logins, those client logins. Okay, because otherwise, if it's a client login and it's shared with multiple team members, you don't know who's logging into it when. Whereas with Practice Protect, you do have that audit tracking.
Do you guys have scripting around what firm owners or managers can tell team members so that team members don't feel like they're being spied on? Now, this is a question I'm not sure if you saw coming.
Yeah, so with that, it doesn't. So we don't really have a script which we give to firms to let them know about it. I mean, it is with Practice Protect, and what we do is, we provide like full training to all users. So we just make it, so to managers and to team members, we let them know about the activity logging and the tracking, as part of Practice Protect. And yeah, that hasn't ever come up actually, in my years here as, being an issue. People understand that, they're logging into sensitive applications, there's sensitive data there. There needs to be some kind of tracking.
Well, and I guess it makes sense that that's not the ideal employee either.
Yeah.
If they care that they're being tracked, then they haven't come clean that they're working remote somewhere, or that they aren't working at all.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I haven't heard about that happening. Maybe it has done where there's been a team member that said they were working from home and were really on holiday. Yeah, I haven't heard about that happening, but it could have done.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Kids these days, you never know who's going to get upset about what.
Yeah, that's interesting. Awesome. And then look, another really cool feature, which is really, really popular, is the one-click lockout. Okay, so say if one of your team members, suddenly leaves, we want to lock them out of systems at the end of the day. You just go to locked, and that's it, done. They don't have access to anything. And because all of the access is inside of Practice Protect, they don't know what any of the passwords are. They're then not able to log into anything once they leave the office or once they finish view at the end of that day.
Right, which is probably amazing for outsourcing, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Or canning somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's got multiple uses. So yeah, outsourcing, if someone has left and maybe it wasn't on the best terms and you want to
Right.
make sure that nothing malicious is going to happen, there's that one click. But as well, I know that this is used really frequently for teams that have contractors working with them and consultants.
Right.
So, the time that they're working with them, they'll just, hit unlocked. And then at the end of that contract, at the end of busy season, they'll lock it. So then they don't have access to their systems when they don't need them to. So
Yeah, that's super cool. I can see the other use case scenario for that being if you are training somebody and you don't want them going amok in, let's say, QuickBooks Online or Dext or doing any work when you're not supervising them, the lockout at night would be an interesting one on that.
yeah, definitely. And we've got a feature actually especially for that. So with our policies, what you can do is you can set up like rules for logging in, and one of them is a time-based lockout. So you could say set it up to lock team members out from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. or any times that you choose. As well with this, it is done on a team member basis. So you might not, as the firm owner, want to get locked out, but you might want for a junior team member to only log in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So you could set that up in Practice Protect.
Sure. And actually you can even, like, once there's some of these new policies starting to roll out on not having employees need to work or can't work. I can't remember what the hours are, but I think maybe it's in France now or somewhere that there's the kind of, I'm just going to pick a time, 7 to 7 thing. If you have this as like a company rule, it's like, yeah, well, you can't. So
yeah,
you can't gripe to me later that you just felt like it. That's a really cool feature.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, like just building on that, so you've got the time-based lockout. We can also lock out based on locations. So we've got IP restrictions. So you could lock team members down so they can only log in from approved IP addresses, so approved buildings. And then we've also got country-based restrictions. So you can lock team members down to say you could only log in from Canada, you could only log in from the US. The reason why that's important is because the majority of hacks don't happen from the country where the person is based. They usually come from overseas. So the idea is by locking yourself down to just the US, just Canada, you've greatly reduced your risk profile.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And also just to highlight the last point here, just for ease of onboarding, we set up roles as well. So if you've got team members, if you've got different departments, if you've got different roles, then you can add them here and then they get applications automatically. So it just makes onboarding a few clicks. Wow. Also, we see with firms, they set up roles by client. So then you can just assign that client this role to certain team members.
Okay, so just to back that up, because I loved that when I saw this before. I forgot about that. So that's really cool, as you said, for onboarding new team members.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can emphasize that enough, what a pain in the butt it could be to, if you bring on a new team member, to then have to go and add all of the apps to their role. So yeah, having this is fantastic.
Yeah,
the stuff
definitely.
You guys have, I mean, this is why you're doing what you're doing, but the stuff that you guys have thought about to make our lives easier, as easy as it can be for security, is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, we are, industry specific. So, all of this and, what we've shared is, through our learnings, just working with accountants over the last 5 years. And as well with the setup of this, we do all of the heavy lifting, with the start. So, if you let us know what your roles are, what your what different positions you have and what you want set up, we go away and we do that for you. So then, 6 months down the track, when you add on a new team member, it's just a few clicks and it's, set up how you wanted.
Fantastic. So yeah. I know you guys do a lot of heavy lifting at the front end. There must be some sort of minimum commitment.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
Yeah. So with Practice Protect, well, there is a setup fee. So with firms coming on board, obviously that setup fee varies based on firm size. Sure. But yeah, there is a setup fee. And then yeah, with the application, it is a 12-month contract, and we've got different pricing plans, either pricing on a monthly plan or an annual plan, which works out a little cheaper.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome. Just before we just finish, I really want to highlight, because so far we've been focused on the Access Hub, and I also wanted to highlight the other areas we help. So you've got the Compliance Hub and the Advisory Hub. So really at the core of those is the university. That's where we've got both of those sat. So the Practice Protect University is where we store all of our training and our compliance documentation. Okay, so if I go to our compliance documents here, you can see we've got our documents for the US here. We are working on one specifically for Canada as well, so they should be released soon. But at the moment, we've got our US specific ones here. So
I have another question. Are you working for one on the EU as well?
We don't have plans currently for the EU with GDPR. I think I got that right way around. Yeah, GDPR. Yeah, so we don't currently have plans for that. Like Canada would be our next one, because that's where our next largest amount of clients are. It is one that's on our radar though, as we know that even if you're not based in the EU, if you've got EU customers, you are then, caught up. You are then under those right. Legislation. So that's one which we'd look at after Canada.
Okay, cool. Okay.
But yes, I'll just open up one and bring up an example, because one of the most important documents, or the one we definitely get the most questions about, is the data security plan. So the reason why there's so much talk about this is because you've got the IRS 4557 guidelines, which say that taxpayers need one. And there was actually a change to the PTIN application last year, where it said that tax return preparers must have a data security plan to provide data and system security protections for all taxpayer information. So for, tax practitioners had to tick that off to say they had one. So to make sure that our clients and to help our firms meet those obligations, we've worked with a law firm to build one for them. Okay, so the idea is this is all part of a package. So firms can come here. Obviously, there's parts where you need to update it, so it's specific to your firm. But we've got this template which is ready to go, and within 5-10 minutes, firms have a compliant data security plan.
Especially if they use find and replace.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's not 5 minutes; it's just 2 minutes. Yeah, but yeah. So the idea is, nobody wants to spend a couple of days writing out these documents, so we're making it easy for firms to meet these obligations. So that's one of the really important documents. The other one I'd just like to highlight is the IT and internet usage policy. So this one is really important because it's about setting rules with your team about what they should and shouldn't be doing online. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot of legislation when it comes, around cybercrime, cybersecurity. And as well, we're seeing with cyber insurance companies, they're asking a lot more pointy questions before firms can qualify for cyber insurance. And
is that one of your hot words, is pointy questions? So we got human powered and pointy questions?
It could be. I think I use that a lot. But yeah, they ask a lot of those pointy questions. And one of them is around documentation. And, if you don't have cybersecurity policies, then you're not able to get cyber insurance. So again, that's why we provide this, so that our firms can meet those obligations and tick that box to say, yes, we do have a IT policy for team members. Okay. So that's the compliance section. And then, yeah, also in here, we've got different training materials as well, so as part of the advisory hub. So, like I said, the Netflix of cybersecurity. We've got different training webinars here. So we've got some on remote work, on security outside of Practice Protect, social media, mobile devices. So the idea is, that with security, like I said, it's not just about the technical side. There is the human risk, and we're helping our firms to manage that as well. Awesome.
Fantastic.
And that's the university as well. As you can see, there's a lot more in here. There's other, checklists, fact sheets, but at a high level, those are the core areas where we're helping firms.
Okay, I think that's awesome. Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Thanks.
fantastic. Great. So I thought I might have more questions, but it's just such a cool product. I'm such a nerd. It's such a cool product. I type, it's not going to outrank Typeform for me.
It's okay. I understand. I've got a soft spot for Typeform as well, so I won't hold that against you, Kelly.
But I think you've done a really, I mean, I was blown away before. I'm blown away again. I believe that firms that have team members need to bring this on. I think they're ding dongs if they don't. Ding dong being a very technical term, but you know, and
add that to my
you'll
vocabulary.
add ding dong.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to manage all this in such a robust way, but also seamless for themselves. I mean, they can go ahead and hire like an IT guy and try and build all this out. And then imagine every time they bring on or get rid of a team member, get rid of a client, whatever the case may be. Such a logistical nightmare you guys have solved. The simplicity of cracking this crazy security thing is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. That's the idea. The idea is that, you know, it's out of the box. We only work with accountants, so we know the setup, the configuration that you need. It's funny you mentioned about, you know, with the IT guys setting this up. Like, you know, we had a firm come on board last month, and, you know, quite a large firm, 60 team members. And, you know, when they saw this, they were like, our IT guy's been trying to set this up for the last 2 years.
Right.
So, you know, the idea is, you know, that's what we've been doing. That's all we do. So yeah, we do that. And as well with firms that do have IT companies, like, that's great. Like, we work really, really closely with them. We love it, you know, when there's that setup. So, you know, if you're working with an external IT, you know, we'd work with them to integrate it into your systems. And yeah, we've got some really, really good relationships with some IT providers.
Well, it's interesting because when Jamie, your founder, and I have talked about this a couple of times now, he's emphasized that this is not just a password protector.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so not just a password protector.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to you guys. I just see such a fit for so many firms that, again, they're ding dongs if they don't take it on. Because I think my recollection is your pricing is like not outrageous.
Yeah, no, not at all. So I'll just bring up the screen. So, you know, if you want to find out about our pricing, if you just head to practiceprotect.com/pricing, and then, yeah, you can find it out. So as I said, we've got different tiers, but, you know, starting off at, you know, $17 per user if you're paying annually, or $19 per user if you're paying monthly as well. Yeah, and then obviously we've got the scaled pricing,
right,
for larger teams too. So yeah, best place to see, you know, if you just come check out the website, we've got our calculator here, so you can work out what it would be for your firm, and then, yeah, you can take it from there.
Yeah, cool. I love the pricing calculators.
Yeah, makes it easy.
It does indeed. Okay, well, great. I super appreciate you doing the demo for me, but for the workflow watering hole, and for all of the, I don't know, 10 subscribers I have on YouTube.
That's far more than me. 10 more than me.
So, and yeah, this is terrific, because I really want to get the word out on your product, because I believe so heavily in security. And, you know, that's why, like, Rewind is one of my top recommended apps as well, right? Back your data up, back your data up, back it up. But now what are you going to do to secure it? So, yeah, I would, this is Kelly's version of shouting from the rooftops about Practice Protect. Yeah. So I appreciate you doing the demo for us. And yeah, so unless you have anything else to say, I think we can stop the recording and post this puppy.
Yeah, no, all good. Thanks, everyone.